at the end of time.
O'clock.
Well, hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Time for our regular ass show.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show today. This is gonna be some true crime.
True
stuff.
crime.
True crime.
That's what we're talking about.
True crime. And it's about a serial rapist who wore a mask and shit and wore an outfit back in the day.
He had a whole costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, CB
Thought
said
he was a superhero.
Said I've seen documentaries on this Michael Myers looking creep shit. This dude is a fucking freakazoid. I'm actually not. I don't think he's very well known in the United States. I have seen some kind of like other YouTube shows about him, but a lot of the YouTube shows about him are British because his hunting grounds, if you want to call it that, were Jersey, the island of Jersey, which is not in England, but it's an English protectorate. It's actually closer to France. It's one of the Channel Islands. But that's where he did his shit. And, they don't think that he actually killed anybody that they know of. Although I'd be very surprised if he didn't. But for sure, he was a fucking freak.
Alice is asking if I'm hoping Alice is saying she's hoping I feel better. I feel a little bit better. I'm feeling better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean... I got the ick too.
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't get it as bad as him.
Right.
So it's like I felt like crap yesterday, but I feel okay today. Like I'm still kind of stuffed up and sneezing, but I don't feel that crappy.
Yeah, she's real resistant to any kind of getting sick. She's real resistant to medicine. She's resistant to gear. She does everything. She doesn't respond really.
I mean, well, yeah, like anybody, you come up to my body or my immune system and they're like, hey, this, and they're like, no.
Yeah. You can give her any kind of drug. She doesn't really work on her.
I don't know why. Yeah. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I mean, it's good to know, like, for sickness reasons. Because, like I said, I did get sick, but I didn't get nearly as sick as he did. Because you were sick for, well, almost it's been a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because he's just been sleeping.
Just slept through most of it. And coughing.
Yeah, and just waking up in the middle of the night, just hacking and coughing. Like, he had to go and sleep in the living room because he was afraid he was going to wake me up.
Yeah. I'd be coughing so hard that it would pull all the muscles on one side of my fucking head. And it was like I was getting a workout. Yeah. And I was on fucking a lot of fucking testosterone and a lot of steroids on top of that. I was on fucking 1,200 milligrams worth of shit, man. It didn't really help. It didn't help. My muscles healed up faster, but I don't know. I don't think it helped me.
Probably not.
No, they're not real good antivirals, evidently.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben said, I see the 13 o'clock internet got fixed. Yeah, it got fixed on Sunday. But it was out for, like, pretty much all weekend, which was kind of a pain. But it was fixed on Sunday. So we did do a Monday movie review, but, you know, we were both kind of sick. So, I mean, we still went on for, like, an hour or something, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of talking about this dude. CB knows who it is. It's like, do you believe he got away with it for so long? And especially on an island... as relatively small as Jersey, and they figured out because he had the same MO, they're like, oh, well, this is obviously the same dude, and it's obviously somebody who lives here, and the fact that it took them so long to catch him is just, and they really only caught him by accident, really.
He had a good sense of timing, evidently.
I guess.
He knew when to strike.
We'll get into it, but it's just kind of like I said, I kind of feel like this isn't a hugely known case, and because he's technically not a serial killer, he's only a serial rapist, you know what I mean? Like, that's bad too. So, you know what I mean? Granther said, Granther saw Sasquatch Sunset last weekend. My wife hated it. I consider it a brilliant masterpiece. We saw the trailer for it when we went to see Late Night with the Devil, and I was like, that's either going to be the most brilliant movie ever or the most horrible movie ever. I couldn't tell which it was going to be. I'll probably end up watching it though because I'm curious. It did look like I'm like going at like, what the fuck? This is a real movie? Okay. You know, I'll probably like it. I feel like, but we'll see. Jesse Eisenberg is in it, playing a Sasquatch. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to see it, I don't know. I don't know what will.
Yeah, the trailer for it looked good.
It did. It looks weird as fuck, and I'm a big advocate of weird as fuck. So you know what I mean. Oh, and CB said that they watched Gypsy 83, that we reviewed on Monday, and said it was fantastic. Oh, good. Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. Like I said, I kind of feel like more people should see it. I feel like it's one of those like old goth people know about it, and like nobody else does.
Yeah, that's a classic cult flick.
It definitely is, and it definitely needs more love because it is really good. Yeah. So yeah, this motherfucker. Should we start talking about it, or do we have anything else that we need to bring up?
No, we're good.
We're good.
We're good.
Okay. Yeah, we're all on the mend. You know, everything's good. The car is good. Tom actually went out on a motorcycle ride today.
Yeah.
And went to the Oasis.
Yeah.
He hadn't been on a motorcycle ride in I don't remember how long. Just because before that you'd been working on the car and then you got really sick and you didn't feel like going anyplace and you just felt like sleeping all the time.
Had to get some biker action.
He had to get some biker action.
Yeah.
I know. He sent me a video from it, and it's like him and this like kind of grizzled old dude.
Grizzled biker.
And he just and Tom just like, we're managing. I'm just like, you're just managing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying. I don't remember what song was playing in the background.
Allison wants to know how she did that. No, I made you a moderator, Allison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We
finally figured out.
I got power now. I got power.
Oh, and he's gonna abuse it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I figured out how to make Tom a manager. On 13 o'clock.
Yeah, manager, yeah.
So he can do pretty much everything I can do. You can upload videos.
Yeah.
You know, you can answer comments. You can, like, as me, you can make people moderators. You can do it. We tried to do it before, but for some reason it didn't work out. I think people have been having problems with it for years. Like, it just... You send somebody an invite and, like, he got it, and then it, like, rescinded it for some reason, even though I didn't do anything.
It made me a manager for about 24 hours, and then it went away.
Yeah. So it's like, we did it again today, and it seemed to have taken this time, but we'll see. But so, yeah, because he wanted to be able to... Because I can't make people moderators from here anymore. I used to be able to do it here from OBS, but I can't do it anymore for some reason.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be able to... For him to do it, like, in real time.
Yeah. On real time, I can go into the chat and just do whatever I want to, y'all. I'm on God mode. I'm God now.
See, he's already abusing it.
Yeah, I'm God.
I'm going to have to take your power
I can
away.
make people moderators.
I can just go in there and take it away.
I can ban them from the channel.
If you get to.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, you can do pretty much everything I can do. I think the only thing you can't do is delete the channel.
Right.
Like, altogether. But other than that, you can do the same shit I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Phantom says, this guy had a hidden room with a makeshift satanic altar. Indeed, he did. Yeah, he was also a Satanist, in case I didn't mention that. And if you, well, he said he did. He said he was. But,
watching too many movies.
Well, I guess. Although this was a long time ago. This was like in the 50s and 60s.
Well, they had Satanists back in the 20s. Remember?
They did,
the Black Cat and
yeah, that's true. And we just did...
He was watching Boris Karloff.
Yeah, he's like into that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And if you didn't say... all you have to do is do a Google search on the Beast of Jersey. And you'll see his little outfit. Which is something else. Looks a little bit like fucking Leatherface. And now I'm kind of wondering... I mean, I know that Leatherface is indirectly based on Ed Gein. As was Norman Bates, because Robert Bloch, when he wrote the novel Psycho, was also based on Ed Gein because he was wearing people's clothes or skin and shit like that. But this dude, when did Ed Gein? That was earlier than this, right?
I don't know. It was 50s.
Yeah,
Late
see, this
50s,
was
I think, wasn't it?
This was 57. This guy started.
So around that same time, probably.
So what was in the fucking water? And it's like it is a different country too. This is like overseas.
It's not our Jersey, huh? Another Jersey.
No, it's Jersey between England and France.
Okay.
The island.
Okay. Not New Jersey.
It's not New Jersey. That wouldn't really be. Yeah, and Phantom mentioned too that Jersey is also where the movie The Others was set. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, it's very small. I think it's 9 miles by 5 miles.
Shit, that's tiny.
So like 45, but it's the largest of the Channel Islands, though. Like I said, it has its own legislature. It has its own government. Like, it's self-governing, but it's kind of like under British protection, I guess. But it's a lot closer to France. Like, it's in the Channel.
How could they have not caught him?
See, that's kind of what okay, I'm going to say right here, and I don't know, and like probably most of these people are dead now, but there had to have been some police incompetence going on here.
Yeah.
Well, because here's the thing. I mean, it's Jersey, it's the 50s. There probably was like no crime, I'm imagining. So like suddenly this crazy shit starts happening, and they don't know what to do. Maybe. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because there was a couple of times which I'll get into, where it's like, well, they should have done this, but they didn't do that. You know what I mean? And like I said, it took them a long time to catch him. He was running around for like 10 years almost. Like, he wasn't doing it like every day or anything like that. And sometimes there was like a couple year gap in between. But, I mean, still, there's really no reason in a place that small that he shouldn't have been caught. Like, immediately. Really.
He got away with it.
He did for a very long time.
Yeah.
So,
He must have known what he was doing.
I guess. I don't know. He seemed like one of those motherfuckers, which we'll get into in a bit. I think maybe he thought he was Jack the Ripper and that he was smarter than the cops, which I guess for a while he was because he didn't get caught. But I also think he wasn't as smart as they thought he was. They never are.
All right. Well, let's get to the case then.
All right. So, this guy's name, spoiler alert. Now, I'm not sure. So I watched a bunch of different documentaries about this guy. Some people pronounce his last name. His first name's Edward. His last name, I've heard people pronounce it Paisnel. It's because it's Paisnel. And then I've heard, like, more people pronounce it Painel. So I'm not really sure because, like I said, I know that Jersey is largely British, but there's a large French influence there too. And if that is indeed a French last name, then yeah, you would pronounce it Painel. So I'm not really sure. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm just going to call him Edward because I'm not going to like take a stand on that one way or the other. He's a motherfucker anyway, and he's dead, so he can't come at me. So this guy, between about 1957 and 1971, when he was finally caught, kind of by accident, he committed at least 13 rapes and assaults. And we're talking rape, sodomy, all that kind of stuff. He started out targeting women, but, and then went women and children, and then went just children.
Okay.
And he had a thing, okay, we'll get into it, but it's like he had a thing, like a routine that he did at the beginning, and then like he changed up, like as he went on.
Female children or children of both?
Both.
Okay.
Like I said, he started out, all of his first victims were women, but then after that he started doing women and children, like opportunity, and then it was just children, and it was both boys and girls. So
he had an extensive menu.
Yeah, evidently. So yeah. Ben said Jersey was occupied by the Germans during World War II. Yeah, and that does actually tangentially like line up with this motherfucker too in a little bit. So yeah, so like I said, they didn't know who he was at first. They just called him the Beast of Jersey. The media started calling him that after he'd done like several crimes. So as I mentioned, Jersey is a very small island, about 45 square miles. That's all it is. And it's under UK protectorate, but it's, closer to France. It's in the English Channel, largest of the Channel Islands. Kind of known, kind of a quiet place. There's a lot of cows. They, wool, sheep, stuff like that. And it's actually in around the time that this motherfucker started committing his crimes, there was only about 30,000 people living on the island. Not sure what the population is nowadays, but that's what it was back then. So as I said, this shit went on for almost 10 years, before they caught this motherfucker. Like I said, it wasn't a solid kind of thing because sometimes there was gaps in between. But yeah, and the guy, he didn't start out with his specialty costume, but in the later crimes, he had a very unsettling outfit that he would wear. And like I said, if you look on the thumbnail, That's a picture of it. It's not on him in that picture. It's actually on a mannequin
I didn't see it.
when they took it from. But it looks like, I mean, it looks like some Leatherface shit. Like if Leatherface wasn't chubby.
Okay.
Like it looks kind of like that.
All right.
But it wasn't made of human skin. It was made of rubber.
All right.
But it still looked really fucking freaky.
So you had a rubber
And
human mask.
I can't even imagine. Yeah, I can't even imagine how fucking terrifying it would have been to like wake up in the middle of the night and see that fucking motherfucker standing in your room.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I like fucking peed my pants.
Yeah. Trying to be as scary as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it worked.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. So, the first crime that this dude committed happened in early 1957. I think it was January, February. So it was a young woman. She was a nurse, and she was waiting for a bus. Like, she'd gotten off work and was going home. So she's just standing there, minding her own business, as you do. And this dude comes up to her, and he's wearing, like, this big, long, like a coat, like a trench coat kind of thing. And he didn't have his scary outfit yet. He just had a scarf, like, over the bottom half of his face, so you couldn't see what he looked like. So he basically just runs up on her, whacks her over the head, and then he had like a rope that he kept tied around his waist, like a belt. And he took the rope off and he had it like in a noose, and he would like put it around, like throw it around their neck like that, and then he dragged her into a field like nearby, and then raped her. Also kind of beat on her some because they said she needed stitches. So he didn't kill her, though. Like I said, as far as they know, he didn't kill anybody. He was just a rapist. Well, just a rapist. Like I said, that's bad enough.
Did he say anything to her?
No, and I don't think that he actually spoke to a lot of... He did, like, in some of the way later ones, but he didn't really say all that much. He said a few things because some people did point out, like, his voice.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever said that much. So... she was just like left laying there, and she was all busted up, and so somebody finds her and they help her to the hospital. Like I said, she had to get stitches and stuff, but she did recover. Now, only about a month or two later, this same thing happened again, and this was a 20-year-old woman, and she was again walking home from a bus stop, and he did the same thing, like basically rolls up on her, throws a rope around her neck, and drags her into a field. And, raped her.
Okay, so where is he waiting? Is he in like a wooded area and they pass him and he comes out? Were any details given?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm assuming that that's probably what it was.
Okay.
But, or he just...
And the rope wasn't his belt. He has it tied around his overcoat?
Yeah.
And he unties it.
So he'd keep it handy,
yeah.
I guess. Like when you need it.
That'd be a dead giveaway, though, walking around with a damn rope around your... Maybe it's underneath his coat. I don't know.
Maybe. Or it's like, back then they wouldn't really think about it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like maybe you wouldn't think that, that he's going to use that to like drag me into a field and rape me. Yeah. I wouldn't think that. And especially back then they wouldn't have thought it. Especially on Jersey, like I said, the crime was very, very low. So I don't think it would have occurred to anybody.
How tall is he?
5'6".
Okay, so he's
short.
short.
Your height.
Yeah, he's short. Short guy. Huh. Weird.
That's what everybody said. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was picturing a much bigger guy. All right. And victimology, it's smaller women.
I'm not sure what size the women were, but it might have been. I don't know if he just got sick of attacking women and decided to go after children, or I don't know why he changed. But like I said, at first he was doing this shit. This was the first several crimes were like this.
They didn't make any comments about his build or anything.
All they said, like I said, they all said about 5'6", about medium build. So he's just like
average,
just an average size dude.
Okay.
Not big, not super small, nothing like that. So yeah, so that happened in March of 1957, and then there was another attack in July. A 31-year-old woman, and pretty much the same thing happened there. Like it was somebody who was just walking to or from a bus stop or like alone at night, and the guy just like rolls up on her and drags her off into a field. Now, after those rapes, there was a gap of more than 2 years when there weren't any similar attacks. But then, in October of 1959, he attacked another woman who was 28 years old, and it was pretty much exactly the same thing that he did to her. Now, all of the victims, as I mentioned, when they went to the police and gave them a description, they all said the same thing. They said, yeah, he was about 5'6". They said he was in his mid-40s. They said when he talked, he had an Irish accent, but they all, to a person, said it sounded like a fake Irish accent, like he was putting it on.
You're right, yeah.
Which is, I was like, so it must not have been a very good Irish accent, because every single one of them said it sounded like a fake Irish accent. That's what they said. Also, to a person, they all described him as smelling, quote unquote, musty.
Musty.
That's what they all said, that he smelled real bad, like his clothes, like he smelled musty. Yeah. That's what they said.
Didn't do his laundry.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'll find out why he smelled musty. Well, kind of, but you know what I mean. So they all said that he smelled like that. So yeah, so around this time, they're like, well, the cops are like, well, obviously this is the same person, because duh. And then at this point, it's when they started calling him the Beast of Jersey, and everyone starts freaking out about it, obviously, because he's just attacking random women in the street. Except, after this point, after 1959, he changed up his MO a little bit. Instead of attacking women in the street, he decided he was going to up the game, and he's going to start breaking into people's houses and attacking people.
Yeah.
Because,
starts getting guts.
Yeah, he's, they just amplifying their activities. They just like to, ramp it up.
Yeah.
It gets boring after a while for them, I guess. So on February 14th, 1960, he actually climbed in the window of this house and snuck up to a bedroom upstairs. Now, there was a boy in there who was 12 years old. And the boy woke up and sees this motherfucker standing at the foot of his bed. I don't think he had the mask at this point, but he always had like something over his face, like a scarf or something. And he had a flashlight that it had like tape over most of it, so it was just like a pinpoint. I guess so it couldn't be seen from outside or whatever. And so he was like shining that right in the kid's face. So the weird thing about it is that, so he breaks in the house, and then he puts a rope around the little boy's neck and drags the boy outside into a field and rapes the little boy out there instead of in the house. He has a thing for fields, I guess.
Yeah, it could be outside.
Yeah. The weird thing about it is that, well, this whole fucking thing is weird. So after he raped the kid, this is a 12-year-old kid, he walked the boy back to the house and like left him on the doorstep and then vanished into the night.
Weird.
There you go, kid. What the fuck? Okay. So yeah, I don't.
He's got some fantasy he's acting out.
Yeah, obviously.
And,
I mean,
he wants him to survive it. It feels like he cares about him. It's weird.
Or he feels like he's doing them a favor.
Yeah. That happens a lot. Remember we've done other cases.
I know. It's like that is so. I can't imagine in what universe you would.
They're protective of the victim.
That, yeah. It's like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But
they had that one rapist who got mad that his victim wasn't believed. He started calling. He contacted the police and says, "No, she's telling the truth." Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I will never understand.
Yeah, it went down exactly like she said. Yeah.
I will never understand.
Yeah, he even sent photographs of the weapons and shit she described.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, he
was afraid she was going to go to jail.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we just watched a show about that, like a documentary about that the other day.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that case, but yeah, that shit was crazy.
He didn't want her to go to jail for lodging a false complaint type of deal, so he tried to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rapist tried to get the victim off the hook.
Jesus
defended
Christ.
her. You better believe her, that kind of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He sees himself as a good guy. A good guy with a sexual problem.
It's fucking crazy.
I've got a sexual problem.
Yeah.
Sexual problem.
I know some people said they're talking about little BTK like back there behind you.
Yeah.
Little BTK and his little bobblehead.
Yeah, it's him right there.
Yeah, he might need to weigh in on this, like
Some
when we're done
people
talking.
have sexual problems. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
No, yeah.
obviously.
We can work it out.
That just floors me. So
Yeah.
he busts into your house,
Yeah.
who you don't even know this motherfucker,
Yeah.
and he has a sexual problem, and I have to have you take care of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
for some reason. It's
Yeah.
like, bitch, I don't know you.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, well, I'm gonna have to kill you now. You know, I'm sorry. Here.
Oh, that's okay.
Dry your eyes. It'll be okay.
No problem. Of course you do. Of course you
Yeah.
do. It's fine. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
What the hell? I don't understand.
Fucking
So-
Dennis, man. Fucking Dennis, man.
These
He's true.
people, I don't understand it. So yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. So, okay. So this was the first time that he did the housebreaking thing, even though he still did the rope dragging thing, but he drags them out of the house. But then it seemed he kind of went back to the old MO for a little while. Like I said, maybe it was just like he was taking opportunities. Although, like, after they caught him, it did seem that he was kind of like a BTK dude in the sense that he would, like, stalk people for a long time. Like, he seemed like he took a while to, like, pick out particular victims. You know what I mean? He wasn't just picking people at random. So, in March of 1960, which was only about a month after the little boy got attacked, there was a woman, and she was walking to a bus stop, and a guy, this guy, spoiler alert, pulled over in his car and said, "Hey, you want to ride? I'm a doctor, and I'm going to pick up my wife." You know, it's 1960, it's Jersey. You can't be too mad at her, because nowadays people would be like, fuck you. You know what I mean? I'm not getting in that fucking car with you. But back then, I guess nobody really thought anything about it. And because he said, "Oh, I'm going to pick up my wife, it'll be fine," she's like, "Oh, okay, you know, he seems like a nice man." No. And so she gets in the car, and then when she kind of like turns to talk to him, she realizes that she can't really see his face. Like, he's got kind of a hat pulled down and like an overcoat and stuff, and it's kind of dark, and she's just like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. But by the time she realized that, he had already kind of driven to this sort of isolated area, and when she tried to protest, he punched her in the face.
Damn.
And then tied her hands behind her back.
Well, how did he do that? He must have stopped the car.
Yeah, well, yeah, he wasn't. The car wasn't still going.
Okay.
And then kind of takes her out to a field and raped her again. And then takes her back and stuffs her back in the car. And he drives off, and then she's like, "Fuck this," and she just jumped out of the car while it was moving and started screaming. So the guy was going to go back and get her, I'm assuming, but then because she was screaming and stuff, he's like, "Okay, fuck it," and he drove off. And that was that. Now,
I was going to take her somewhere, but she was impatient.
And that's probably probably exactly
I
what
was going to drop her off in a better place.
That's probably exactly the. I don't know why she just jumped out. I was gonna.
She was upset. You know?
Even though he just punched her in the face and raped her, it's like, well, geez.
Yeah.
Some people are so ungrateful.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't. The thing that blows my mind is that's probably exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And that blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
It's like, how little self-awareness do you have to have?
Yeah.
I don't even think it's that. I just think they just genuinely don't understand that other people are people. Like, they just care about what they want.
Yeah.
And everyone is just facilitating what they want.
Yeah.
And if it's not going the way they want, then they get upset, and that's...
Yeah.
And it's your fault because you're not conforming to their program.
I was going to drop her off in a much nicer place, but she wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking funny.
I mean...
I was sorry. She had, you know, I let her have it her way. She got out. I didn't go back for her. That's like some shit Dennis would say.
Yeah. I mean, this guy gave me a Dennis-y vibe.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit like the original Night Stalker, too, which somebody, like, brought up. Or Golden State Killer, I guess we call him now. Fucking D'Angelo. Yeah, Ben says you are a sexual problem.
Yeah.
The Phantom says, "I wish there was a movie biopic of this guy." Me too. And as like I said, I kind of wish that he was better known over... Well, I don't know if that's true, but he just seems like nobody really knows much about him over here. CB said this guy was probably masturbating to his mom. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. And he also said if he wouldn't have gotten caught, he probably would have upped the ante and committed murders along with rape. Yeah, and the thing about it, I mean, because he went on for quite a while with just the raping. But I kind of feel like the way he was going, yeah, he probably would have started killing people if he was getting older, like by the time they caught him, but I kind of feel like he probably would have escalated, I'm sure.
Although he had a lot of time, he's probably just talking shit.
And now the thing about it too is that he very well may have killed people and they don't know about it.
Maybe, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Doesn't confess to it.
Right. So, okay, so this was fucked up. So after that, later on the same month, there was a 43-year-old woman, and she had a 14-year-old daughter. And they were in their house. They lived in this kind of isolated cottage. And the mom got woke up by the phone ringing. And it was past midnight. So she's like, who the fuck is that? So she goes down to answer it, but there wasn't anybody there. Like, she said she just heard a clicking sound. And then, like, the dial tone, like somebody had just hung up. And she's like, okay, well, I guess it was just a wrong number. And so she was like, whatever. So she just went back to bed. And then, a little while later, she heard another noise downstairs. So she goes back down there to see what it was. And she turns the lights on. But when she gets to the bottom of the staircase, all the lights went out. And then she realized that someone else... Sorry. Having a coughing fit.
Yeah. Couldn't take a drink.
Trying. Haven't coughed much all day. And suddenly I start talking and then, you know. So yeah. So she goes down to the living room and there's somebody down there and now it's dark. So she picks up the phone. She's going to call the cops. But somebody has cut the phone line. You know, it's just like a fucking horror movie. So the person in the living room, like, runs at her. And I think he, like, asked her for money and said that he was going to kill her. Like, they started, like, tussling, you know what I mean? Now, in the commotion, the 14-year-old daughter woke up because she heard the noise. and then she came to, like, the top of the staircase to see what was going on. So the guy turns and sees the 14-year-old at the top of the staircase and is like, ooh, I'd rather have that, I guess, and starts running up toward the girl. Now the mom, I don't want to victim blame, but the mom, as soon as he starts running up toward the daughter and she's, you know, free of him, she runs out of the house and to the neighbors, like, to get help.
To get help, yeah.
Which...
That makes sense.
I guess, but I would think if the dude was running right at your daughter, you would, like, your first instinct would be to, like, get your fucking hands off my daughter, and you would, like, run toward him. You would think, or, like, run to protect your daughter.
He's stronger than her, so she just went to fucking go
get
another man, that they'd be back soon, so, you know what I mean, he wouldn't have time to do anything to
her. He did, though.
Yeah. How long did it take? It didn't take him long, huh?
No. And, well, the thing is, like I said, I think the cottage was kind of isolated, so I'm not really entirely sure how far away the neighbor was.
So the neighbor might have been far away, yeah.
So, I don't know. So...
She's like, fuck her.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. I was like, I know that's terrible.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think my first instinct, if I had a daughter and somebody was going, the first instinct would be like, I'm going to claw your fucking eyes out. Well, like, I'm going to jump on that dude's back.
If he goes after the daughter, then you fucking go run for the shotgun.
Well, yeah.
You know, whether or not they may have something like that over there. You know, I don't understand not having guns in the house, but you got to have a way to fucking defend yourself in a real country. You know, if you don't have that, then you got to have fucking hatchets and machetes or fucking bats or whatever. Big ass fucking hammer.
I mean, something. There's always something that you can use.
Yeah.
Like to ventilate one of these motherfuckers. If
you're in a country like that, the best thing you could ever have, if they don't let you have guns, a fucking spear. All right. Because it's not, you can't conceal it, so they can't accuse you of that. Get you a fucking reproduction African spear or some shit like that. Because it's a knife on the end of a damn rod. Okay? And that's one of mankind's most deadliest weapons over the thousands of years. Most people are killed with spear. You don't throw it, you just jab somebody with it.
Yeah, because you can get them from far away.
Yeah, you know how to get close to them. Get real good with a spear, and that's it, man.
Or a big long sword.
Yeah.
I feel like that would work too.
Yeah. Well, I think some countries don't even let it have swords of all fucking.
Because I was always saying, like, when we first started watching Walking Dead, and Michonne, she had the samurai sword, and I said, see, in a zombie apocalypse, I think that's the smartest weapon to have. because you can. It's you know, you can get people from far away, and it doesn't have to be reloaded, and it doesn't need any maintenance.
We got people from UK listening. They can't even have a knife over there. They're trying to have a knife, which to an American is just totally laughable. You can never. You can't control what people do. Fucking. You could have banned every fucking gun in the United States and collect them all up. A year later, it'd be filled with machine guns because everybody knows how to make them. Have you ever seen fucking homemade fucking guns in the United States? It looks like something that rolled out of a fucking national arsenal. We got fucking guys that can make them just with the fucking hand files and fucking tools and shit that you'd get at a fucking department store. We got guys that really know the shit. They can make the ammo too. They can make designer drugs here, and fucking the cartels would get involved in it, and fucking they'd be able to give you the best weapons and ammo you could ever dream of. Organized crime here is unstoppable. They make fucking submarines here. Organized crime makes submarines. You know, you can't stop them. When there's a will, there's a way.
Danny Rolling said he was also smart enough to cut the phone lines beforehand. Yeah, like I said, I think after they caught him, they figured out that he was actually like stalking people beforehand, so he didn't just like pick people at random.
Yeah, sounds like the D'Angelo.
Yeah. So Iris said clawing a perpetrator's eyes out to protect the child is responsible defense. Yeah, I mean and I know that like I said, I don't want to victim blame or anything like that because you never know how you're going to react in that kind of situation, and maybe the mom did think that maybe the neighbor wasn't that far away, and maybe it would be better since she was free to like run out and get help and get somebody to come back and help her. But I don't know. I just kind of think if it was me, I would have like ran out the dude, like if he was going after my daughter like that. And I think most people would, but I don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know unless you're in that situation, I guess. But the thing about it is that she runs to the neighbor, she gets the neighbor, they come back, and the dude's already gone, obviously, and the daughter has been tied up and raped. So
he tied her up and got her, huh?
Yeah, the 14-year-old girl.
He had time then.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not really sure how far away the neighbor was, because everything I read said that the house was kind of isolated. So I was like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean the closest neighbor is, what, like a mile away, 2 miles away? I mean, like, it takes a while to, like, run that far.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, no, Mom, you're a fucking piece of shit.
I mean, wouldn't you think that? Like, Like, if somebody came in and was going after your daughter, you'd be like, oh, no, you'd be going after that dude.
Yeah. Well,
you'd be tearing his head off.
Just left the daughter fend for herself. Oh, well. Not my fault. Shit. At least she could have doubled back and fucking got something and gone after him.
Yeah, I kind of feel like my first thing would have been like, where can I find something to, like, chop this dude's head off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, like, run up after him. Because I wouldn't let anything happen to my kid. Jesus Christ.
Mom's supposed to be down for that. It's supposed to be Mama Bear.
That's what I mean. I'm like, you wouldn't have... Well, like I said, if somebody came in here and tried to do something to one of my cats, I'll tear your fucking head off. Much less a person.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Somebody comes in this house, this is it. We're in Florida. Somebody comes in this house, you're a dead man. And I ain't even calling the cops.
Yeah, you're not coming.
I'm not even going to call the cops. Around here, they don't do that. Some people will, but they're not even going to call the cops. You know, nobody knows he's in this house. Put his ass in the fucking
Nobody will miss you.
And dump his ass out in the fucking middle of the road out here in the middle of nowhere. They fucking almost got hit by a car, you know.
Or dump him in a swamp and let the gators eat him.
5.56 millimeter car. You know. Yeah, you're going to get fucked up here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
There aren't very many home invasions out where we're at. It's not in this area.
No.
You're going to get fucked up. Everybody's got guns here.
Pretty much in this area, yes, they do.
The cops will tell you to get a gun. People move from New York here and they're out in the middle of nowhere. I think somebody's in my backyard. Well, go get your gun. Oh, I don't have a gun. Oh, you don't have a gun? You need to go take your course.
Like I said, even if you don't, you can still find you still get a weapon.
All you gotta do is just wait in your bedroom. If somebody walks in that fucking room, you blast him. You don't have to go looking for him. He'll come get you if he's dangerous. He'll walk right into your gun barrel. They had a lot of the fucking burglars getting killed by little kids. Little kid hiding in the fucking closet. His dad's fucking .307 Magnum revolver. Fucking burglar opens up the fucking closet door and the little kid just fucking lets him have it. Yeah. And he deserves it. In the house of that little child. What would he do with that kid if he found him? You don't know.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in the house in the first place.
Take no fucking prisoners.
Bad Done Well said, I took too much edibles last night, and I wanted to thank you guys for the good vibes. You guys helped me so much.
Okay.
Watching these streams is like a safety blanket.
It's funny.
Aw.
What were we talking about? We must talk about Gypsy 83?
Yeah, that was the last one we did.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because we couldn't do the sidetrack show on Friday, and that's my favorite. But we really couldn't do it. We didn't have any internet. And like I said, we didn't have any internet all weekend. So, you know. But we'll definitely do one this Friday. So it'll be like maybe we'll do an extra long one just to make up for it. So, yeah. So this poor 14-year-old girl got raped. Their mom went out and left her. I wonder if the mom and daughter had to go to therapy afterward. Because that's, like, pretty fucked up. I don't know if I'd forgive my mom for doing that. But yeah. So about a month after that, I think, like in April, there was another 14-year-old girl, and she got woke up, and the dude was standing in her room, like watching her, like standing at the end of her bed. Can you imagine? Jesus Christ. And the smart girl, she just started screaming her fucking head off, like, and that worked because the dude ran away. So that's usually a good thing to do. So she was all right. She didn't get attacked.
Allison says if fucking bitch comes into her house, he's gonna end up in the freezer, folded in half. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, like I said.
Everything I'm seeing on the news today, not so much the state of Florida, but some of these other states, there's no reason to call the police into your business. If somebody's in your house, and you take care of that, all right? There's no reason for the police to be involved in that. You can't trust the system that they represent. Sorry. Florida you could, but some of these other states, I'd never trust them. That'd be a private problem between me and the home invader.
CB said, when this dick was in prison, he said it was a fetish he could not control.
Yeah.
Which pissed me off because I have a fetish and I would never do something without consent or hurt someone.
Yeah,
most people wouldn't. And it's like, the fact that you would even say that, like, as an excuse, like, that makes you a fucker. Because lots of people have fetishes. A very, very few people do this kind of shit. So, yeah. So, a couple months after that, in July, an 8-year-old boy, and I believe this was the youngest victim, the guy went in his house, tied a rope around his neck, and led him to a field and raped him. And again, he rapes this little boy and then walks him back to his house and leaves him on the doorstep. Like, bye. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, this was the last attack that took place that year. Now, the cops at this point, like I said, they're calling him the Beast of Jersey. They know that this is all the same person, obviously. And they're like, well, you know, this has got to be somebody that lives here because they know their way around the island, and the attacks are fairly frequent. Now, what they decided to do, the first thing they did, which was probably a smart thing to do, was they pulled the records of everybody that had a criminal history that lived on the island, and they interviewed all of those people. But none of them was the person. Now, another thing they did, which was probably, again, another smart thing to do, was that they asked every male on the island to give their fingerprints. Now, you didn't have to. They were just asking nicely. Everybody did, except for 13 dudes. Do you want to guess? Like, one of those 13 dudes was this motherfucker.
Yeah. But
here's the thing. So, here's where I kind of feel like, and maybe they did do this. I don't know. Like I said, there's not a huge amount of information about this case. So, I wasn't able to find out, because you would think that it's like, okay, well, here's the 13 guys that didn't give us fingerprints. That's sus. So, it's like, so let's drill down. We'll crack down on these 13 motherfuckers because obviously they have something to hide, right? It seems that they didn't really do that, which seems like that seems like the first thing you would do. I would
just eliminate as many as I could out of
right.
13. I say, which one of these 13 that we didn't get the fingerprints out of, which ones of them are too old or too young to be the defense?
Yeah, you'd think you could just whittle it down.
Yeah. Which ones are too fucking fat based upon the fucking
the description.
You know, you could easily narrow that down to 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 13 people.
Yeah.
I mean, they eliminated everybody else, all the
Yeah.
other dudes, with 15,000 dudes or whatever it was, like
Yeah.
on the island.
Yeah, and I would say, where do these 3 dudes live? You know, fucking, what do they do for a living?
Yeah,
you can figure it out.
It just seems that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And had they done that, they could have caught this motherfucker like 10 years before they actually did catch him.
Yeah.
But it seems that they didn't really do that, which is stupid. Because that seemed like the whole point of doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then they didn't like follow up on it, at least not adequately. And to add insult to injury, not only did they not, investigate particularly those 13 dudes, they then arrested a dude who was not the guy. But listen to this. Okay, so they arrest this dude named Alphonse Le Gastelois, I think is how you pronounce his name. Now, the only reason, as far as I could determine, the only reason that they suspected him was because, one, people thought he was a weirdo, because he was kind of eccentric, and that he sometimes wore a rope tied around his waist like a belt, which the Beast also did.
Yeah, well, that's funny because that's in the description.
Right.
That's the defender. Yeah.
But
description.
The dude, I kind of feel like, too, I've seen pictures of the dude, and I'm not really sure what year the pictures were from, but he seemed like he would have been too old, but I don't know, maybe not. So it seemed like the only reason they targeted him was because people thought he was a weirdo, because he was like a loner and he was eccentric and stuff like that. He was a fisherman. So they arrest him and they bring him in and they question him for like 14 hours. And then they force to release him because there's no evidence that he did it. Problem was that they had already released his name to the papers and his picture, which were printed all over Jersey.
Yeah.
And a bunch of vigilantes in Jersey burned the man's house down.
Damn. Dumbasses.
Yeah, like, even though the cops were like, well, we let him go, it probably wasn't him, and they were like, oh, well, fuck that, we don't want to hear that shit. Yeah. So yeah, they burned his fucking house down. And so he had to move. He was scared. I don't blame him.
Should have been a lawsuit there.
Yeah, I don't like I said, this was like the 60s, or maybe they didn't do that.
Representation.
Yeah, you would think. Maybe he was just like, fuck it, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like, he moved to a different island. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd have sued that newspaper.
Yeah, it's like, that's really irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of feel like most of the time, because I write about a lot of true crime and stuff, I do kind of feel like most of the time, the British media, at least, are pretty good about not naming people unless, like, charges are fucking brought. You know what I mean? Because it'll usually just say, a 46-year-old man was questioned, blah, 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 but they don't say what the person's name is, and they don't print their picture or something, which you shouldn't unless they, unless the dude's, like, going on trial, you know? Yeah. If they're just questioning somebody, it's like, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, so they did, like, he had to flee. Now, he lived actually quite a long time. He didn't die until 2012. He was 97 years old. But I don't think he ever moved back to Jersey, and I can't say I really blame the dude. So, yeah, the thing about it, though, and I'm sure everybody felt really stupid, was that after they burned this poor man's house down and ran him off the island, and they were like, woo, well, that's good. Like, we did it. The Beast of Jersey is gone. Well, guess what? The attack started up again.
Yeah.
In February of 1961. Yeah, he's like, that wasn't me, dumbass motherfuckers. Yeah, but that was really stupid, like, burning that dude's house down. Come on. So, yeah. After this point, I believe, in early 1961, he pretty much specifically just targeted children after this point. I don't think he attacked any more women after this.
It was easier.
I guess so, yeah. So, yeah, like, in the first couple months of 1961, he basically attacked 3 children. Same kind of thing. He'd break into the house. He would drag them out of the house by a rope or force them out, you know what I mean? Rape them in a field and then bring them back home.
What ages are we talking about?
The youngest one was 8. I think they were usually between, like, between 8 and 12, you know, right around that age.
Mostly girls or 50-50?
It seemed like it was half and half.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was exactly half and half, but it seemed like he wasn't real picky.
So yeah, so he didn't discriminate if they were young. Guess he thought it was all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Damn.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
So at this point,
He needs his ass beat.
well, at the very least.
Yeah. Fucking asshole.
So at this point, I guess the cops knew that they were obviously well over their heads, you know. And so they called in Scotland Yard. So Scotland Yard comes there, like some investigators came, and they start like coordinating like neighborhood watches and shit like that. And they put together kind of, I guess what they would call like a, you know, like a profile, like that they would call it nowadays. So as I mentioned, they thought the dude was in his early to mid 40s, about 5'6", medium build. He was a resident of the island and was particularly familiar with the east coast of the island. They thought he had a mustache, but he usually wore something that covered the lower half of his face, usually a scarf or, you know, later on the mask. He always wore this long, dark coat, which smelled real musty. He always wore a hat, and he always wore gloves. He always came in through bedroom windows, mostly using moonlight, but he also had a flashlight with tape over it with just a pinpoint light. He always attacked between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. So even though they had all this and Scotland Yard was helping and stuff like that, they still somehow could not find this motherfucker. And after that, the attacks stopped for a couple of years. And I guess everybody was just kind of like, oh, well, bullet dodged, I guess.
He just went dormant.
Yeah, well, exactly, because shit started up again in April of 1963. This time, the victim was a 9-year-old boy. Same thing, he was kidnapped from his house, tied with a rope and taken to a field and sodomized.
And this is always middle of the night, huh?
Yeah, always.
Parents
Like,
in the house?
Yeah, but I guess they don't hear anything.
Right.
Like, he climbs up through bedroom windows.
Right.
So, and then takes the kid, and I'm sure he says some shit like, I'm going to kill your mom and dad if you... Yeah, I'm sure he says some shit like that.
You start screaming your ass off.
Yeah, it's like,
really
especially if he says, don't make any noise, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to make all the fucking noise. Yeah, just scream your head off. Because that's what that one girl did, and he ran away.
Yeah.
So, you know, make a fucking scene. So, yeah. So, same kind of thing. Like, he was taken to a field and raped, and then he was brought back to his house. And then, in November of 1963, same thing happened. This time, the victim was an 11-year-old boy. And then, 1964, this was the summer, in July, a 10-year-old girl was attacked. And then in August, a 10-year-old boy was attacked. Same exact scenario. And then, after that, he went dormant again for 2 more years. And it seemed like people kind of started to relax a little bit again, I guess. Because they're just kind of like, oh, well, maybe he's done now, you know, or whatever. And they just, like, stopped worrying about it, as you would. You know what I mean?
He's got to be coming up on 50 by now.
2 years is a long time. He was... When they caught him, he was 46.
Okay.
So he might have been a little bit younger than people thought he was when they first saw him. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure he was 46 when they caught him. So no attacks for 2 years, but then, and this reminded me very much of BTK and kind of like Jack the Ripper too. In 1966, this motherfucker sent one of those police taunting letters that these guys love so much. And this is what the letter said, and this dude's spelling and grammar is atrocious. My dear sir, which, like I said, this very much sounds like Jack the Ripper. I think that it is just the time to tell you that you are just wasting your time. How many times are you going to say time in that fucking sentence? As every time I have done what I always intended to do. And remember, it will not stop at this. But I will be fair to you and give you a chance. Oh, well, thank you. I have never had much out of this life, but I intend to get everything I can now. I have always wanted to do the perfect crime. I have done this, but this time let the moon shine very bright. He spelled bright, B-R-I-T-T-E, which, not even close.
Yeah.
The moon will shine very bright in September because this time it must be perfect. Not one, but two. So he's saying he's going to attack two people. I am not a maniac by a long shot. I beg to differ. Yeah. But I like to play with you people. You will hear from me before September, and I will give you all the clues, just to see if you can catch me. Yours very sincerely, Wait and See. That's how he signed it. So, yeah, like, that was very Jack the Ripper, very BTK. Just, I don't get where these, just like, yeah, we'll see if you can catch me. Although, in his defense, like, the cops had not caught him when they probably should have by now.
Dennis could spell better than that, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, there's just a few, like, because he spelled what, W-A-T.
W-A-T, what?
Yeah, wat. What? Yeah. What? So yeah. So August of 1966, just as he threatened, now he didn't get two the way he threatened to, but he did get one girl. And this was a 15-year-old girl. And this time, she was in her house, same kind of thing. The dude broke in. And she was raped. But when they found her, when they got her to the hospital, here was something that was different, is that her body had these big, long, parallel scratches. Like that. Like, just, you know, like when you watch a haunting and they say, it's like with the devil with the three. It was like that, but it was like 4 or 5 of them. So that was a new wrinkle. Now, after this...
Is his fingernails?
You'll find out.
Okay. She didn't know what it was?
I don't think she saw it. But, and there's a reason for that, but yeah. So after this girl got attacked, like I said, he just did the one. He said he was going to do 2, but I guess that didn't work out for him, happily. But after this, he went fallow again for 4 years. So nothing for 4 years. And then, in August of 1970, this time, the victim was a 14-year-old boy. And he woke up in his bedroom, and again, there was a flashlight shining right in his face. And he was raped, as the other kids were. But this time, he was being led back to his house, and he said that the guy talked to him. And he said, you better stay quiet, because if you don't, someone will harm your mother and father. So he might have said that to some of the other kids too, but like I said. And at this point, like I said, he had, the beast had the mask on. In the early attacks, because I think that I saw some documentaries that said he had the mask the whole time, and he didn't. Like in the early attacks when he was attacking the women at the bus stops and stuff, he usually just had a scarf over the bottom of his face. But then later on, he had a special mask that it kind of looked like fucking Leatherface. It looked like the kind of Leatherface mask. But it was made of rubber, and it was like real freaky looking. And it also had like a weird black, like spiky, it looked like dreadlocks almost.
Yeah. Like
wig hair on it.
Huh.
Yeah. So the dude was wearing that. So like I said, if you can imagine like waking up in the middle of the night, it's like fucking 2 a.m, and you wake up and that motherfucker is like standing in the, it's like a fucking horror movie. Right.
Did we find out where he got that mask?
He made it, as far as I know.
All right.
So this kid, so his parents find him, and he's all fucked up, and he wouldn't say what happened because he was too freaked out. But they took him to the hospital, and then they found the same thing that they'd found on that girl like 4 years earlier, like these big, long, parallel scratches, like on his torso. And at this point, the boy, too, like, told the cops, it's like he had this weird, spiky black hair. Like, I don't think they knew what dreadlocks were, but that's what they looked like to me. And he had, like, a really scary mask on. Now, in 1970, it was July, and there were 2 police officers, and their names were John Riseborough and Tom McGinn. And they were just tootling around, doing their regular cop shit, like they do. And it's almost midnight, and they're stopped at a red light, and then a car blows past them and like blows through the red light. So obviously they're like, oh boy, something to do. So they start chasing this car. Now this car was very, very clearly not wanting to stop for the police for whatever reason. We'll find out why in a minute. But the dude was freaking out so hard that the cops were chasing him that it was kind of like, you know, the scene in like those movies where the car like drives through a fruit stand and like over the sidewalks and people, it was kind of that kind of situation. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't that bad because it was like midnight and there weren't that many people around, but he was driving on the wrong side of the road. He was like up on the sidewalk. He was just, you know, he was just all over the fucking place trying to get away from the cops, right? So he's driving all over and eventually like crashes into a bush or something, and then like the car stalls out like in the fucking tomato field or something. So then the guy, I guess the car stalled out, so the guy gets out of the car and starts running. And the officers, who I guess were like in probably pretty good shape, they started running after him and they fucking rugby tackled the dude. So they kind of like, they got him down on the ground and arrested him. Now they put him in the cop car, and the first thing that they noticed was they're like, wow, this dude smells real weird. Yeah. Almost musty, one might say. Like, yeah, they're like, this motherfucker smells real weird. And it was kind of dark, like, so they couldn't get a good look at him. But when they got him to the police station and, the, you know, under the electric lights and everything, and they got a good look at him, they noticed that he had a very long, dark trench coat on. And this coat had nails like sticking out of the collar and the cuffs of his coat. Like he'd made things like stick them in there, you know what I mean? And they found out later that those were what were making the scratches, like on the last two victims, like these parallel scratches. He had these gauntlet things that he'd made, and they had like just nails sticking out.
They were in the jacket itself.
I think so. I think that, well, one of the things, it looked like part of like a bracelet, but then it looked like he had one that was kind of like a collar, and I think it was like kind of sticking out of the shoulders like eppaulettes or something. Yeah. It was kind of like that. What was that for? It was, I don't know. I'm not real sure. Costume? Yeah, it was just part of the costume, I guess. Okay. I don't know. So they see that. And then they're like, okay, well, they get him in the police station. They're like, that's a little weird. And they're like, okay, well, empty your pockets. In his pockets, I mean, it's a big trench coat, so it had big pockets. There's a black flashlight in there with tape over most of the lens. And also, there were 2 pieces of cord in there. There was like a wool cap and a thing of duct tape. So, you know, a little fishy. If you're walking around with that kind of shit in your pockets. Also in his pockets, they found a spiky black wig that kind of looked like dreadlocks and a weird fucking rubber mask. Okay. In the pockets. Busted. Yeah, I was like, caught red-handed, I believe is the phrase there, just with all the shit. Yeah. You know? Now, you're going to love this. I cracked up when I heard this. So, of course, the cops are like, so you sir, got a rape kit and a costume. Why? What's with the outfit and what is with all this weird shit in your pockets? And like, why were you speeding? Why were you running from the cops? The dude said, I was going to an orgy and I didn't want anyone to recognize me. Okay.
That makes perfect sense.
They're like,
yeah. An orgy, huh?
Okay.
Where's the address? I see the invite.
Yeah. Then they're like, okay, well, what's the deal with the nails, like sticking out of your shoulders and everything like that?
You're gonna love here on the island.
You're gonna love this too. He said, "Oh, I have those, just in case I'm attacked by somebody who knows martial arts."
Okay, yeah. Somebody knows martial arts you can block. Yeah.
So, he's a rapist who wears a mask and a wig. Yeah. And he has nails sticking out of his wrists and neck in case he's attacked by ninjas.
He's been to Florida. He's been to Florida. That happens in Florida all the time, man.
I mean,
just ask those dudes down there in fucking Miami.
Now the thing about it if this was Florida Man,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even bat an eye. I'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, that tracks.
That's happened. We had dudes dressed up as ninjas abducting people and fucking...
Well, they didn't believe that guy either,
didn't
but it
believe
was true.
It was true, yeah. Dressed up as ninjas.
I mean, they weren't real ninjas, obviously. They were just people dressed like ninjas.
Bodybuilders dressed as ninjas. One of them was dressed as an alien.
Yeah.
And the cops didn't believe the dude. And they made him sign over all of his worldly possessions and shit. They were torturing him with fucking... hitting him with fucking rubber dicks and sex toys and shit. It's a great movie, man. Fucking called
Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain.
We just rewatched it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Because we had to watch movies because we didn't have any streaming because we didn't have the internet, so we were watching all our old movies. But that was a real, we talked about it. I think we talked about Pain and Gain, and we talked about the real case when it happened.
Case, had fucking Mark Wahlberg in it and fucking The Rock. It's an all-star cast. And that's a true story.
Tammy says, well, what do you wear to your orgies? Allison says, I wear my white rabbit suit, Tammy. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna... I mean, if you know that you're busted like that, I mean, I guess... I can't really think of a better excuse, to be honest, unless you're just gonna say, well, I'm the Beast of Jersey.
Man. That's a wild shit.
But yeah, so I love that he was afraid he was gonna get attacked by it. Did he piss off like Frank Dux and he was afraid that like he was gonna send the Black Dragon Society after him or something? It's like it could happen. Yeah. The Dojo Wars. Yeah. He was like on a completely other continent.
You're in a little fucking little island off the coast of France.
I love it.
Called York. Or no, called Jersey. And you're gonna get attacked by fucking ninjas.
You never know, man.
Yeah.
The possibility is never zero.
You're gonna get attacked by Miami-style ninjas. Mm-hmm. All right. Fucking Hispanic bodybuilders on steroids, fucking dressed up as fucking ninjas. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it happened in Florida, but that didn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. Never underestimate Floridians, especially the Hispanic ones.
We are crazy.
Fucking crazy. Yeah.
I feel like it's not even native Floridians that are crazy. It's for some reason all the crazy people move here. It attracts all the crazy.
Well, it's the South, and it's a metropolitan kind of South, and it's multi-ethnic, and it's been multi-ethnic for hundreds of years, going back before this was the Spanish Empire and shit. And you just got crazy Central Americans in the South, and then in the Panhandle, crazy ass rednecks. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy happening in Florida. That's what makes it a great place. Florida's great. I've been all over the South.
Well, it keeps you on your toes, that's Florida's for sure.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was born here, and I've lived here my whole life. And it's just, I've gotten to a point now where it's just kind of like, you see on the news, it's like, hey, somebody went through a Wendy's drive-thru and attacked the lady with an alligator. And I'm just like, yep.
Florida's got interesting...
It's Tuesday.
Florida's got interesting people, man. Yeah. Lots of hotties.
Interesting.
Here. There's lots of hotties. It's got huge porn scenes. Got a good club scene. It's just fucking nuts, man. It's fucking nuts. And just because it has old people, that doesn't mean shit either. One of the wildest places that has the fucking highest incidence of fucking drunk, disorderly, fucking the highest incidence of VD and shit is a retirement community here. What's it called? The Villages.
The Villages.
Man, you drunk ass people.
Highest STD rate.
Yeah. You go by the Villages and you see people.
Those old people are freaks.
In their 70s, all fucking drunk and naked in the fucking fountain out in front of the cops trying to get them out of the fountain and shit. They're on the news all the time. It's a retirement community that's like a fucking singles fucking club.
It is, yeah.
Like a swingers club. Ridiculous. But it's Florida.
It is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Tammy was saying, "Go big or go home." Yeah, I guess when I was saying about the about what else are you gonna say when they find all that shit on you, and then Tammy said maybe the ninjas were there on vacay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this dude would have done pretty good in Florida. Actually, that might be a little more believable in Florida.
Yeah.
Being attacked by ninjas. Cops go, yeah. I remember that happens every now and then. Yeah,
that happens every now and then.
Yeah, it happens.
I feel you, bro.
Because the cops know. But then they'd eventually catch you, but. Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah.
It would have fun. It'd been funnier if he had said that he was afraid he was going to get attacked by somebody on bath salts that was going to eat his face off.
Yeah.
Does that happen too?
That happens here too. Your face could get eaten off at any moment. You better watch it, man. Naked bums in the middle of the fucking road on bath salts eating each other.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse shit, man.
Yeah, everybody was making jokes about the zombie apocalypse. It's like, is this how it starts? I don't know.
And they did it out in front of a hospital.
Yeah. They weren't on bath salts though. That was
I don't know what they were on.
They were on something, obviously,
something.
but it wasn't bath salts.
Yeah.
It was something else. I don't remember what it was. So yeah, so then they asked him. So they're like, "Well, what about the mask then?" But he wouldn't say anything about that. I mean, you know. Now they knew because he had. I guess I don't know how tight the mask was, but I guess when he wore the mask, like, you know how sometimes when we wear a mask and it's like makes little depressions on your face.
Yeah.
So they said he still had little depressions on his face, so he'd been wearing the mask that night, but he wouldn't say anything about it.
Yeah, fucking Murder Hornet was in there saying that the mask was made out of used condoms. That'd be awesome if it was.
It wouldn't shock me. I mean, that would take some commitment.
Yeah, I don't think that dude had the wherewithal. He didn't have the artistic fucking license. He didn't have the artistic ability.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. You're almost kind of like, well, you kind of admire their gumption, I guess.
Yeah, taking all them used condoms and weaving them together.
And just saving them for all that time.
Yeah, it's like something out of old retro Doctor Who. You know, fucking like a.
Wait, did somebody on Doctor Who make a mask out of used condoms?
No, I'm just saying.
I don't remember that episode.
The way the monsters looked on the old school Tom Baker Doctor Who's all latex and shit. Fucking, that'd be cool.
They made Doctor Who monsters out of used
making Doctor Who monsters out of fucking out of used condoms.
Once they found in the back,
all
like
sexual and shit. Fucking funny.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of Wang talking. He did a whole series on fucking cum jars, and I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw up just like watching it. Allison Warner said, was it Flacca? Flacca.
Yeah, it might have been Flacca.
It might have been, I can't remember what it was, but it was just, I mean, obviously they were. Well, weren't with the bums, they were having sex, right?
They were having sex.
And then one of them just started eating the other one's face?
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened
exactly. They started fighting, and one of them started chewing on the other one's face. He didn't
As
die.
one does. No, yeah, he didn't die.
Yeah, but they said it was extensive, but who knows? They never showed any pictures. It might have been blown out of proportion.
I mean, because that is a better story. Like,
it's a better story, yeah.
Like bum eats other bum face.
Yeah. They were in the middle of the road. You couldn't see them because they were in between the concrete dividers.
Yeah, it was like almost like an overpass. It was like an overpass, and then it was
overpass
like
over it, but they were inside in between the concrete dividers.
Yeah.
They were underneath that overpass in there.
Yeah, I don't know, like, that was a weird fucking story. I think that went worldwide.
Bums trying to get it on, man. Homosexual bum sex.
Well, I mean, they can have sex.
Gone cannibal. Too. Yeah. Wasn't safe
maybe
sex
that's
either.
their fetish.
Yeah.
Did anybody think of that?
Nothing safe about that.
Maybe
sex.
they're vores.
Yeah, something like that.
So, you know, I'm not judging.
It was interracial too.
Yeah.
A black one and a white one, or a black one and a Hispanic one.
Yeah.
You know, it'd have made a good video probably. Put that shit up on fucking one of these fucking not OnlyFans. They probably wouldn't allow it.
I saw parts of a video of it, but I don't think they got the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't think you get them. They were inebriated though, so you couldn't get them to actually legally sign the release forms.
Well, yeah, because
you wouldn't be able to make any money off of it. That'd be a problem.
See,
sign on a dotted line. Well, they're all fucked up. They can't sign on a dotted line.
Yeah, they're just like, what?
Yeah.
What's my name even?
Yeah. Although you could fucking sell it to a news agency.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what happened. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they'd show it.
They'd show it.
Maybe not on TV, but they'd show it online.
They have the shit pixelated.
They'd show it online though.
Yeah.
And it would leak somewhere.
Yeah.
CB said you would not believe what we found on people's computers where I work. Oh, I'd believe it.
Where does she work?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I would believe it.
Yeah.
People do all like I don't remember ever looking up anything fucked up at work. I look up fucked up shit all the time at home. Yeah. Like, not always for sexual purposes. It's usually just for curiosity purposes. Yeah. And because like I said, I write about true crime a lot, so I'm always like looking up fucked up shit. But I wouldn't do that at work though.
Yeah.
Like even if I when I worked in an office. But a lot of people do, I guess.
Yeah. I've heard stories of guy fucking gets fired and then they go and they clear his computer out and it's nothing but just stills of girls of girls. Well, not girls. They're porn stars. They're porn stars giving blowjobs. Just nothing but that's just thousands and thousands of fucking
that's pretty mild.
Of the same thing. Yeah, it's just funny how it's just that, nothing else.
Some people really like blowjobs.
That was just,
I guess.
Yeah, blowjob king. It's all he cared about.
Seems a little pedestrian though. Goodness, I'm not judging anyone's if they really like blowjobs, but
that was his thing.
You'd think you'd want to like expand its horizons a little bit. That's all. But yeah. All right. So who was this motherfucker that they caught? As I mentioned, when they caught him, he was 46 years old, and he was actually I've seen construction worker. I've also seen contractor, which is kind of similar. So he was in construction anyway. And as I said, his name was Edward Paisnel or Paisnel. I'm not really sure. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Now, he was actually born in 1925. Much like BTK, he was married. He had a wife named Joan. And they had some kids, although I think some of the kids were either adopted or they were hers. I think maybe they had one kid together, but I think there was a couple other kids that weren't his. Now, he actually came from a fairly wealthy family. I don't know if they were like old money wealthy, but like quite well-to-do. I don't know a great deal about his childhood or anything like that. It doesn't appear that he was abused or neglected or anything like that. It seemed like he had a pretty good, like a kind of upper middle class upbringing. He also did not have a criminal record. The only time that he had ever been arrested, and this doesn't really count, was, as someone mentioned, the Nazis occupied Jersey during World War II. And he was, I guess he was stationed there, and he stole food and gave it to, like, starving families on the island, and the Nazis, like, arrested him and put him in jail.
Stole food from the Nazis.
From the Nazis, and gave it to like starving people, which seems like a nice thing to do, really. So it just goes to show people are complicated. So
he was a resistance fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. And here's the thing: like his wife Joan worked at a children's foster home, and he would go there, and he would play Santa Claus every year and like bring everybody presents, and the kids there apparently really liked him and they called him Uncle Ted, and everyone thought he was a great fucking guy. So there you go. Now, obviously, this motherfucker had a dark side. Now, his wife later said she wrote a book about him that came out. It was called The Beast of Jersey. It came out in 1972. As far as I could tell, it's out of print. There was a couple of editions. Like, it seemed like an edition came out in 72, one came out in 73, and then one came out in 75. But they're really hard to get hold of nowadays. Like, they had one hardback on Amazon, and it was like $150. Damn. So, and I looked up at, like, live, because I was like, I want to read this fucking shit.
You can read it and then make a new version of that book. Write a new version.
That's what I mean. Well, I couldn't, like, even open library and stuff like that, like, no libraries, like, had it. So it's like, it must be out of print. So, like I said, you can get it, but it's, like, real expensive. And I don't know, like, what all she said in there. But according to her, he had... Well, and this isn't the case, but at least from her point of view, he had a low sex drive. And the implication, at least from my understanding, was that the two of them didn't have sex anymore. Now, they think that he had at least one mistress. And he was also raping people, so there was that.
He just was tired of her.
But I don't think the wife knew about that. And I don't think that she suspected what was going on. At least that's what she said anyway. And like I said, I'm not...
He probably had a high sex drive. Just not with her.
I guess not.
He probably had...
And she wasn't a bad-looking woman. I've seen pictures of her.
He probably had a very active fucking fantasy life, kind of like...
Well, obviously.
Kind of like BTK had, where he's fucking fantasizing about the next thing he's going to do. That's probably what's going on.
Yeah.
And going over that in his head.
I mean, if you're married to a motherfucker like this, it's like maybe she didn't... Maybe she had a low sex drive, too, so it didn't really bother her.
Yeah.
And so she didn't think about it. And, like, you wouldn't really think about... Because I know we've talked about this before, especially with serial killers and stuff like that are married and have families and, like, their families didn't know. And some people are like, oh, come on, you must have known. And I'm like, not necessarily.
I don't think he had a low sex drive. I think that's what he
No, I don't... Well, like I said, that's probably how she saw it or how he explained it to her.
He told her, probably.
Yeah. But maybe she didn't care. I don't really know. Like, maybe she had a low sex drive, too, so she didn't bother him about it.
Probably had a pretty high sex drive, but it took a lot to get him off, and he had to fucking have danger or something. It had to be fetishy.
Yeah.
He didn't have any willing people, or he didn't get turned on by it.
That's it. Yeah, the Phantom just said that
Yeah.
regular sex didn't do it for me.
Yeah,
He probably only liked it if it was forced.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and a lot of these motherfuckers are like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the whole serial rapist, serial killer pathology, is that they don't seem to be able to get sexually aroused unless they're doing something against somebody's will.
Unless it's something wrong.
Unless they're making somebody suffer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is fucked up. So they keep the dude in custody, right? And then they go search his house. Now, when they go search his house, they find this secret room closet thing that was like in his bedroom. You know what I mean? And it was all locked and stuff. And they opened it up, and immediately they were like, oh, that's where that musty smell is coming from. Like, it was inside this little closet. And in there was all these old clothes, and there was all these homemade wigs, and the wigs even had, like, eyebrows that matched that he'd made.
Weird.
And most of the clothes in there... See, all of the stuff that I read, like, I think they were trying to be diplomatic about it. I'm pretty sure he jerked off on everything in there.
Yeah,
is I think what they meant.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they opened that closet, they knew why the dude stunk so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he probably like jerked off on every piece of clothing in here multiple times, and then just puts it in this tiny little room, and it just
festers up in there.
And
yeah.
So I'm imagining
he was a walking cum rag.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So, and I think that was the smell that everyone was.
See, he must have been dressing up in his costumes and fucking doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because every single person said he smelled really fucking bad and really weird. And like I said, as soon as they opened that, they're like, "Oh, that's where that smell's coming from."
And his wife didn't know about that place, huh?
No, it was like locked. They said it was a secret room, so I'm guessing it was like behind a false wall or something.
Okay.
I'm not real sure.
Weird. So he'd go in there and fucking put his costumes on like he's a superhero or supervillain and fucking jerk it. Yeah. That's weird.
Put on his fucking mask and wigs.
But BTK did that.
Yeah, like he kind of reminds me. It's the same kind of dude. He's the same kind of dude.
Yeah, BTK would put on women's clothes and do that.
Yeah.
And then tie himself up, put himself in bondage. But this
guy... And like dig holes and like take pictures of himself like down in a hole and stuff.
Yeah. Taking pictures of himself as he was the victim, like he was the victim. So he must be doing something kind of like the opposite of that. He's dressing up like a villain and jerking it. He's sexualizing himself as a bad guy.
With this mask
With his mask on and his spikes and shit. His fucking bullshit punk rock outfit. You know, I'm gonna go get my fucking black overcoat, put spikes in it. He's doing this shit before the punk rock age.
Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious and shit. With his fucking rubber mask made out of used condoms. And his fucking... I want to know what kind of hair it was on the wigs. Was it hair or was it yarn?
Well, honestly...
Sounds like yarn.
It did kind of look like... Because like I said, to me it looked like dreadlocks.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was yarn, though. I don't know what he was making them out of.
Right. And how did they have... Now, the wig was connected to eyebrows, or they were matching eyebrows?
They were matching eyebrows for each wig. That was my understanding, anyway.
Okay, so he must glue the eyebrows on to himself.
Onto the mask.
Onto the mask.
I'm assuming.
On the mask, yeah. Okay.
I don't know if he just had one mask or if he had a bunch of different ones, like Leatherface. Because you know how Leatherface had the different ones? Like, for whatever mood he was in. He's like, if he was cooking, he had, like, the one with the makeup on. And...
Yeah, I'm going to have red hair today, you know.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, man. Yeah.
People are
I'll have to see pictures of it later.
People are weird. Yeah, look that shit up. Yeah, Phantom said he was better looking in his youth without the stash. Yeah, he actually was. There's pictures of him and his wife and the kid when he was younger, and he actually wasn't a bad looking dude. He was just a regular looking guy. Yeah. You know, the picture of him later, like when they caught him, like the mugshots and stuff. Yeah, he looks like terrible.
Well, what was his explanation for all this? Did he ever say?
Not really.
No.
Like I said, you know, somebody said later on when he was in prison, he's just like, oh, it was a fetish, and it was like a BTK explanation, right. I guess.
It was a fetish.
CB said if there's a 14-year-old boy in your house, you will know that smell immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, like I said, every article that I read, it seemed like when they were talking about finding the secret sex closet, that they were trying to be, like, not gross about it, but that was what I...
And there was no porn in there?
I don't think so. Huh. Maybe it was kind of harder to get hold of porn, like, on Jersey up, back in the 50s and 60s.
And fucking imagine himself committing his crimes.
Yeah, putting, like, coats and wigs and...
Yeah, he's acting in the mouth.
Going in the closet. I don't know how big the closet was, but he was just, like, going in the closet.
Yeah.
Ew.
Okay.
Ew. It's, like, grossing me out just thinking about it. And then the fact that they had to open it and be like, ah. God damn it.
He's back there hiding from his wife in there.
Why did I want to be a cop again? Yeah.
What did he do for a living again?
He was in, like, construction.
Okay.
He's like a contractor or something. All right.
So he had money, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, his family was quite wealthy.
Yeah.
Like his parents were. Yeah. So another thing they found in there was he had a camera and he had a bunch of pictures in there of houses, various houses on the island.
Yeah.
So much like BTK, it seemed like he had projects.
Yeah.
Where he would take a picture and he would like stalk the people for a while,
yeah.
like taking pictures of their houses and like hanging out and stuff. And there was a bunch of photos there too that he hadn't attacked. So again, like BTK, like did a bunch of he had a bunch of projects going that, and some of them he didn't.
Did he have pictures of the people or just the houses?
I think just the houses was all they found. And then so they asked him about those, and he did admit that like sometimes I pick the people like years before I do anything to them. So he stalked them for a while. Like he knew details about who lived there and where was the best point of entry and when people were home and stuff like that. So he did plan stuff. And as I mentioned, because a lot of people in the early days said that when he talked, that he spoke with an Irish accent, but it was clearly a fake Irish accent. They asked him about that. And he said, that he talked with a fake Irish accent. And sometimes he would leave cigarettes and lighters at the crime scenes, even though he didn't smoke, to throw the police off. So he
saw him.
Yeah. Well, Well, I think they did think that he was a smoker at first, but yeah. So he obviously thought he was pretty smart. Although I'm sitting there thinking he didn't do anything about the main thing that was a hallmark, which was his fucking cum stank.
Yeah, he couldn't smell it.
Maybe not. And it's because every single person mentioned that. Was like that he smelled like...
I guess he couldn't wash those outfits. It would attract attention to it.
Like his wife would notice?
Wife would notice that, like, what's that outfit
It's there? Like, what is that crusty thing that you're washing?
Or what's this? Yeah. He was making costumes. Just keeping them secret. And I guess he couldn't wash them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You don't have a weird secret sex closet, do you, Tom?
No.
Tom doesn't have secret anything.
Do that shit in the open.
Yeah, he doesn't care. That's kind of one of the nice things about being just like shameless perverts.
Yeah. I don't have to keep anything secret.
You just do whatever, and I'm just kind of like, yep, there it is.
Yeah. Like, roll over. Let's get...
I mean...
Now stand up. Okay. Here, hold this.
And I'm just like, hey, it's all right. So yeah, so like I said, he couldn't have been that smart because he's walking around in this like funk of whatever, and it's like every single person was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Also in this room they found a shrine to Satan.
Okay,
so there's that.
Yeah.
There was a little black altar that he made, a little sword hanging over it, and he had a whole bunch of books about black magic and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
he's living a whole fantasy life.
I mean, he's got a whole thing going on.
He's got a whole alter ego and everything.
Way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Really, like not in a good way either.
Yeah.
He was apparently one of his big heroes, and we've done a show about this dude. Was Gilles de Rais.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And I'm thinking I'm pronouncing it because today they don't have a hard G in French, do they? I took French for 4 years and I can't fucking remember that shit. Because I always thought it was Gilles de Rais, but I guess it's Gilles de Rais.
Sounds familiar.
So, yeah, he was an occultist, French from the 15th century, a companion in arms of Joan of Arc. We did a show about him a long time ago.
Good.
And he was believed to have murdered 140 children, mainly boys, like for sacrifices and stuff. I don't know how much of that is the case. He did confess to it, but, you know, this is the 1400s.
They tortured people.
So they tortured shit out of you, too. Yeah. So you have to take all of that with a grain of salt. Not saying that he didn't do it. I'm just saying that you can't really take trial records at face value. Because, you know, if they pull your toenails out, you're probably telling them whatever they want to hear, you know? But for a long time, like, Gilles de Rais was considered to be the inspiration for Bluebeard. Now, he was actually hanged in 1440. But, yeah, so he was Edward's big hero, and I think he even claimed to be a direct descendant of him, which I'm sure is not really the case.
Yeah, probably bullshit.
So he just wishful thinking, probably. Yeah. So in late November of 1971, they put this motherfucker on trial. The jury took only 38 minutes to find him guilty of 13 counts of rape, indecent assault, and sodomy against 6 victims. He actually got 30 years in Winchester Prison, that's in the UK, but he only served 20 years and then was released for good behavior. So he was actually released in 1991. Now, like a dumbass, he thought that enough time had passed that he could move back to Jersey. People who lived in Jersey were like, no. Yeah. You fuck off. So nobody wanted him there, obviously. So instead, he ended up moving to the Isle of Wight. I'm sure they didn't want him there either, but I guess there wasn't much they could say about it. Thankfully, even though he was released 10 years early from prison, he didn't live that long once he got out. He died only 3 years after he got out. In 1994, he died of a heart attack. And as I mentioned, his wife Joan did write a book about him in 1972. Now, interestingly, many years later, after he died, in 2007, there was a child abuse investigation, which they later dubbed Operation Rectangle. And this was looking into numerous reports of abuse of children in foster care on the Isle of Jersey, for years and years. Now, in 2008, they were searching the foster home that Joan had worked at, like his wife, which was called, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. But yeah, she worked there anyway. And it actually closed permanently in 1986 and usually had about 60 kids in it. Now, when they were investigating this place, they found, weirdly, a whole bunch of, like, baby teeth in the basement, which, while not necessarily suggestive of anything, it is kind of sinister, though. Anytime you find random teeth anywhere, that's usually not a good thing. Now, I read an article from 2008 that said that the remains of one child, some skull fragments, have been found on the grounds of this foster care home, and that police were searching for 6 more bodies. But then later on that year, some reports confirmed that these were not skull fragments, as they had previously believed, that they were just like some other shit. So they don't know if they don't think there was bodies there, but they did find a bunch of teeth, which they thought was weird. And there were like a lot of allegations of abuse. They also found in the dirt, they found like shackles and stuff, which were like attached to the walls. And a bunch of kids who were grown had come forward and said they were abused by the staff. Now, because Edward Paisnel had worked there and had been Santa and everything because his wife worked there, people were like, well, obviously, because he's a sex offender, he must have been doing some shit too. Now, cops later said, well, no, he's not really part of the investigation. However, at least one former resident of that care home told the inquiry that they were having, and she told them in 2015 that Paisnel was well known for like getting the little girls in there and like sitting on his lap and like fondling them. and that she was personally abused by him like at least once a week, like the whole entire time she was there. Now, some convictions, like, so even though the cops later said, oh, well, they didn't have enough evidence to go after Paisnel and he was dead anyway. But some convictions did come out of the inquiry, like they did end up arresting like several people who had either worked there, or one guy whose name was Michael Aubin, he actually was a resident there like when he was a kid, but he had abused other boys. So he got, I think he just got probation because he was a kid himself. But a bunch of other people that had worked there like got various sentences for child abuse and rape and stuff like that. Interestingly, in 2012, some victims also claimed that good old Jimmy Savile had molested them at this place. Damn. Where Edward Paisnel, because he had been there. Because remember, like, we watched that Netflix series about him, and we did a show about him too. And he was kind of known, everybody was like, oh, he's the greatest guy, and he goes around to orphanages and shit like that. So he had been to this place, and so some people claim that they had been abused by him there.
Going around to those orphanages to get laid.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And it kills me that nobody...
Yeah.
Because he was so clearly a creep.
Yeah,
but, you know,
he was obviously a creep.
Maybe he thought, maybe he was so obvious that it came, like, it went all the way around, it became not obvious again, because people were like, well, he can't really be a creep, because he's just, like, talking about creepy shit, like, out in the open.
Yeah.
So maybe people thought that he didn't have anything to hide, which...
Yeah, I just saw interviews with him and how he handled questions about it. He would just take it all as a joke and then try to say, oh, maybe I'm weird. And say, yeah, you are. You are fucking weird.
Yeah. But like I said, I think that was maybe what... Because some people are just kind of disarmed by that, because it seems like he's being honest. Because he's, like, admitting that he's kind of a weirdo.
It's funny because I remember seeing recordings of the old famous fucking interview with the Sex Pistols, and Johnny Rotten is in there fucking talking about the naughtiness and fucking Jimmy Savile and everything. And they, hey, you stop that. And he's like, oh, no, I heard all about him. And it was true. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you'd think that he was bullshitting. You would think that Johnny Rotten was bullshitting. He wasn't, though. Wonder how he knew. I just everybody, a lot of people knew, huh?
I think it was one of those things. Well, I think it was kind of one of those things where, you know, for a lot, even back in the 80s, like, people knew about Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And people said stuff about it. Because I remember, like, comedians back then, like, in the 80s and, like, 90s saying stuff about it, but nobody paid it any attention. Because it was Bill Cosby. Yeah. Like, nobody believed it, I guess. But people were... Yeah. It was like an open secret, kind of. Right. So, I don't know. It's just, it's really weird, like, how that kind of shit gets, like, swept under the rug all the time. Yeah. Like, it's not as bad as it used to be, but especially back in those days, holy crap.
Yeah, they make all those jokes about that one actor, the one that was played Nixon in Elvis and Nixon. What was that guy's name? Fucking
who? Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking made all kinds of jokes, and it seems like there might be something to that about a little bit fucking little cartoons, the babies fucking running from fucking Kevin Spacey and shit. Weird. Probably all kinds of shit going on.
Yeah, and I mean, it blows my mind because, like I said, it would never occur to me to do any of the shit that these people are doing. Yeah. Like, why would that even occur to you?
Weird to do this crap. Spacey's fucking a lot of people that were going to take him to court. There was a couple people who were going to take him to court behind that kind of shit. Ended up dead. He didn't want. It doesn't look like he wanted to cross Spacey too much. He's got his fucking fingers. He's got power. Some kind of power. Organized crime.
Camp Guy says BTK had to lug a large metal tripod out into the woods so he could take a photograph. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like you had to be real committed to like that fetish shit back then. Like it's easy nowadays. You just take your little phone and take whatever picture you want. But it's like back then it had to be a whole day program.
Yeah, he'd be all out of shape and fucking trying to fit himself into those women's underwear and trying to get a sexy shot and shit. The way he was built.
I feel pretty.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Trying to squeeze into this fucking girdle or whatever.
Put on a girly mask and shit with a girly wig.
Fucking BTK.
Trying to become somebody else.
Like I said, I know that like every now and then, we don't get this so much anymore because everybody's used to our shit by now. Yeah. But it's like every now and then I'll get a comment on one of our old shows about how, like, especially the true crime ones, obviously, where people are like, oh, this is a serious topic and you shouldn't be joking about it, blah, blah, blah.
Joking about it, yeah.
The thing about it is, though, we don't joke about the fucking victims. That's fucking horrible.
Joke about the perpetrator.
Yeah, because they don't like it. You know what I mean?
BTK, man. I mean, hear him talking about himself. He would talk about himself like he was a fine, upstanding part of the community.
They deserve contempt and ridicule.
And you know, he would talk about, you know, nice people and shit, you know, and fucking he had good standards, or supposedly. But then they'd ask him, they say, well, let's talk about your male victims. He's like, your male victims? What are you talking about? And he goes, what about those pictures of these guys dressed up, you know, fucking, they look like dead down in the ground. Oh, no, that was me. That was me dressed up. You know, they didn't know that was him.
Wasn't I beautiful?
Yeah. He was dressing up as a girl.
He was trying to, like, put himself, like I said, in the...
Yeah, dressing up as a girl and taking pictures of himself.
He was getting off on being in the position of the victim. Like, because when he couldn't get a victim, I'll just be my own victim. And that was, like, hot for him, I guess.
Yeah,
but it is kind of funny to think because of, like, this dumpy, balding, middle-aged dude.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it.
Is like, feeling pretty in, like, a bra and slip and stuff. I'm just like...
Nothing female or effeminate about his build.
Well, nothing sexual about him at all. He was just a dumpy middle manager.
He was a bear. You know, in the gay world, they call him a bear. Not even a good bear.
Not even
a good. He's just a dumpy dude, kinda. You could tell he had a little bit of physical strength to him. You know, it wouldn't call him a weak guy. He was just dumpy, and he'd be wearing a fucking stockings and a fucking garter belt and fucking panties and shit and fucking bra, and he had no V taper to his body. You know what I mean? There's no waist there or anything. It's just weird.
He looked like a potato.
Like a potato. It was not flattering.
Well, he thought he looked pretty, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, he was feeling muy bonito. Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't understand these people's mind, the way these mind works. Like I said, I read that book that Sophie sent me. That was all the letters that he had sent to Kathleen Ramsland, and I was like, this dude, what the fuck? Like the way his mind processes are just alien.
Yeah, well, he had all these stashes of porn. We're talking about BTK now. He had all these stashes of porn around. Some of it was out in the wild, out in the forest. He'd have porn stashes.
I wonder, did he like lay in bed and think about it out there?
Yeah, and he'd have...
Ooh, it's that maybe somebody could find it. Oh,
yeah, he had treasure maps of where all his porn stashes were, with fucking underwear and all kinds of stuff. And some of the stuff was from crime scenes. You know, victims. Some of the stuff was from victims and shit.
He kept all that shit. Yeah. A lot of serial killers do that.
And he'd go out and fucking put on underwear and have a whole photo shoot with himself.
He's reliving it. That's why they keep shit.
Yeah.
Because they want to keep reliving it so they can...
Drives out there in the middle of the fucking woods and gets his stash and fucking starts setting up a photo op scene, like a photo shoot, having a photo shoot with himself, sexy photo shoot with fucking
glamour
BTK,
shots.
Yeah, dressed as a girl. Man, it's just weird shit, man. It's just weird shit.
It is very weird. Like I said, and we know a lot of people that are into weird fetishes and stuff like that, but it's just like nothing. Like
those dudes are nowhere near as weird as him.
Yeah,
because he wasn't like a dude from the fetish scene. He was
not at all.
He was like a fucking normie that was a perverted normie.
We'll see, and that's kind of what people don't understand. It's like, I kind of feel, like I said, it's not like it used to be, but back in the day, they'd be like, oh, they're into like fetish stuff. That must mean this and that. It's like, it doesn't. If you know anything about people that are in the fetish world, no, they're not like that at all.
No, so, they're actually kind of cool.
Yeah, and they're not like that at all. And the thing about fetishes, they're real open about everything. Yeah. Two, one of the big rules of like any kind of fetish, whatever it is, particularly like BDSM and stuff like that, they're very big on consent and about like fucking, you know, safe words and stuff like that. They have a whole system. Yeah. They have whole rules and honor code and all this other kind of stuff, because it's like they don't want to do anything that other people aren't going to enjoy or anything like that. So they're very big on having discussions about what are we going to do and what the boundaries are and stuff like that. They're very big on that.
Yeah, they're very open about everything that they're into.
Yeah.
They don't even really have a shame culture.
No, not at all.
No. Being ashamed of something is a fetish, and they'll tell you that, okay, I'm this and this, and I'm ashamed of this, and I'm ashamed of that. So let's play with that. Okay, yeah, you know.
Yeah, everything is discussed beforehand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To make sure that everybody is doing shit that they want to do, and everybody is comfortable, and everybody's having a good time. And the only way you can do that is by, like, finding out what everybody wants to do and what everybody's boundaries are.
Yeah, and they have their own little social circles and little scenes, and they stay out of trouble, you know, for the most part, and they're not into fucking, you know, anything that would get you locked up.
No.
Because you never know who's in there. There may be agents, for all you know. There might be fucking FBI people or fucking in there. You don't know. Because some of them are people you wouldn't never expect. You know, business people, fucking lawyers.
Yeah, just regular.
And
yeah, we know people that
right. So there are people that would
names, but
there are people in there that you would consider to be kind of like authority type figures.
Yeah.
So.
But they're not doing anything bad. They're not doing anything
illegal.
Yeah. that anyone doesn't want them to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's adults.
Some of the shit's kind of fucking weird. You know, I've heard about it secondhand, where there's parties where it's kind of like a fantasy of pimping your wife out to guys at the fucking party. But if she wants to do it and the money changes hands, and if that's the fetish, was that actually prostitution, or was that more like getting off on the fantasy of prostitution?
See, that's the thing.
There's some of that shit's a little gray. You know what I mean?
Well, from a legal standpoint, it is.
It's probably it's illegal.
From my point of view, like, I don't think prostitution should be illegal anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. So I'm not bothered by it. And like I said, if you go to a fetish party.
And that's what they're all there
and that's
for.
what they're all into, and that's their fetish. They get off on. I'm gonna pretend my wife is a prostitute,
and I'm pimping her out,
and you're pimping her out, which is a fetish. A lot of people have that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. From a legal standpoint, people, oh my god, it's prostitution, but it's just
would be legally, yeah.
Still though, it's not. I don't know. I kind of feel like,
it's like I said, the dudes that are there are not. It's not a normal John situation. They're in the fetish scene.
Yeah,
those guys,
and like everybody knows the score. Everybody knows what's going on, and
so
they all probably know each other.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird.
I don't know. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, I've only heard about it. Me and Jen have never done it. We don't go to that shit, but we know people that did.
Yeah, we know people that do that. Like I said, and I'm very open. Like I said, there's a lot of shit I don't really want to do.
Yeah.
But if other people do it, I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, they're adults.
That's what I mean. If everybody's adults and everybody's wanted to do it, then okay. Yeah. Like I said, I wouldn't do it, but
and these are like rich people.
Knock yourself out.
Some of these people are like rich people. This is like happening in fucking mansions, fucking eyes wide shut type shit.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. But like I said, that to me, that's not that weird. That seems like a pretty basic.
I think it's tame.
Fetish.
It's tame. Basic
that's what
tame.
I mean. It's pretty basic.
It's a big power.
Like any kind of
fantasy.
Any kind of cuck fetish. Cuck fetishes are very, very common.
Yeah.
Like watching your wife get railed by other dudes. And
and then she's telling you how much better they are than you.
Right, that's like a big thing. Well, honestly, when we were streaming, like we used to get dudes come in. You'd be amazed, like how many dudes want. Want you to.
Yeah, want her to tell him how little he is compared to me.
Yeah.
Her fucking.
Right, there was a lot of that. Yeah. So a lot of dudes get off on that, which, like I said.
They want to do it face to face behind face to face with their cameras on.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the dudes, and you never really suspected, just like normal dudes.
Well, yeah, everybody's normal.
Yeah,
like I said, everybody's got fucking faces.
And our clients tended to be young.
Yeah,
and in shape, kind of like the ones that turn their cameras on were always kind of like guys that were in the kind of fitness scene, guys that worked out. Yeah, bye guys. So cause they're basically paying to see a couple. So it tended not to be straight guys.
Some of them were.
Some of them were, yeah.
But mostly
it tended towards bi.
It tended toward bi, yeah. Which is fine with me. They were always the
easy
nicest.
to work with.
They were
fun
and not super picky.
Yeah, friendly guys. They're just friendly.
Yeah.
Usually not demanding. Show me a good time, guys. Just do whatever.
Just do whatever you want. They just wanted to watch somebody else and like kind of be involved. You know what I mean? They weren't, like I said, the worst ones were the ones that were like super, that had this whole script.
Yeah.
Like these kind of motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That it's like they have this whole, I have to be wearing this mask and this thing,
yeah.
and they have to be doing, I have to be in this hole like BTK with the slip on. And
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
She has to act like this, and she has to say this and that.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like.
One dude had us acting like she was on an island, and that, what was it? I was making the girls on the island fucking worship me.
Okay. No. Okay.
Shit. How'd that shit go?
The scenario, I don't. It was a while back. The scenario was
putting on a whole fucking show.
The scenario was, and I'm not good at play acting. The scenario was
he liked it.
I was a queen.
Yeah.
From some kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And you had kidnapped me.
That's right.
And that you said you were going to kill all my people or my family or something like that.
Yeah.
Unless you had sex with me.
Yeah.
Or something.
Some shit like that, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and we had to like play along, like the whole, and we had to like make it up. And I was just like, oh man, I'm not good at this.
Yeah, we got paid for it though.
We did, but I'm just like kind of like,
It was maybe like fucking 10, 15 minutes. We probably made about $60 on it.
I know, but I was just like, it's really, I'm not a good at improv.
It's just funny shit, yeah.
So it was just, especially something like that, like somebody else's scenario, I'm just like, I'm not like, I don't know. So I think I did okay, but I was just like, holy
He
crap.
liked it.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
thanking us
I
and
guess we did okay.
Yeah. He liked it.
The Phantom is saying, how the fuck wouldn't his wife know when he's not in the home in the early mornings? See, I guess that's one thing. I don't know, unless he snuck out in the middle of the night, but still, like, I don't know.
He probably had excuses for where he was going.
I guess. But like I said, I never want to blame people's wives and stuff, because maybe you don't know, and I don't know what other people's relationships is like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, if I woke up at 2 a.m, and you weren't in bed, and then, like, you weren't in the bathroom, or
where the
you
fuck's
weren't,
that dude,
like,
man?
where the fuck did he go? And then if I looked down the driveway and the car was gone, then I'd be real sus.
Like, where the fuck's that dude?
So I was like, where the fuck did he go at 2 o'clock in the morning? Because you don't go anywhere at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No.
And if you started up your motorcycle, I'd hear it because it's loud.
Yeah. Though she wouldn't be thinking I was killing people or anything. She'd be like, oh man, he's down there. He's fucking one of these chicks somewhere.
Well, yeah, well then, and I think most women, that's the first place your mind would. You wouldn't think, oh, serial killer.
No.
You're like, oh, who's he fucking?
So, yeah, that bitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one of she'd be going through fucking over my fucking phone?
Yeah, I'd be going through your phone.
Where's that fucking phone?
Who's he
fucking talking to?
Yeah. You know better. Because I wake up in the middle of the night all the time because I got to pee. So, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm always getting up.
Yeah.
But, the thing about it was that he was worried about the other night because I woke up and he wasn't in bed. And then, well, I didn't notice at first because I was just like, blah. And I just like, it was like fucking 3 a.m. I don't know what time it was. And I was, because I had to go to the bathroom and I was like half asleep and I'm like going down the hall. And then like I came back and I'm like, oh, he's not in here. And then I was like, then I went to the bathroom and I was like, okay, he's not in the bathroom. And then I thought, well, he was still sick.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, he must be on the couch.
I was on the couch.
So I kind of went down to the living room and I was like, yeah, he's on the couch.
Whenever I get sick and fucking I start fucking up and shit, I'll get up and I'll go into the fucking living room out here and lay on the couch. I already got pillows and a damn comforter out there and everything. Because I'm scared of waking her up, fucking for coughing or hacking or suffocating. I have these dreams where I'm suffocating. It has to do because my sinuses are bad. And if my nose gets plugged, I'll have to start breathing through my mouth.
Oh, I hate that.
And it somehow makes me think I can't breathe if I can't breathe through my nose.
I start coughing because it dries my
Yeah.
inside of my mouth out, so I'll start hacking.
Start having these panics, attacks like I can't breathe. Even though I can fully breathe through my mouth, I can't breathe through my nose, and I feel like I'm suffocating. So I have to get up and walk it off in the middle of the night. And sometimes I get back into bed, it comes back.
Yeah.
But if I come out here and lay on the couch, it doesn't come back. It's just something to do with associating it with the fear of suffocating in that bed.
Yeah.
Weird.
And the thing about it is that it does wake me up, but it's like other things wake me up too, so you shouldn't worry about too much about it. Like, I wake up 2 or 3 times a night to pee.
Yeah.
The cats run around like buffalo herds in the middle of the night. They get zoomies. And that wakes me up because you would think that 2 tiny little cats chasing each other down the hall, you'd think that wouldn't wake you up. You'd be wrong.
They fucking make all kinds of noise. Yeah, it sounds like full-grown adults running through the house.
Well, last night, I don't know if this woke you up, but it woke me up. Yeah. They chased each other down the hall and then into the bedroom, and then Pookie jumped up on the bed.
Okay.
Because I heard pop, 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 and then Pookie went pap, And like I felt her like little paws like land on my feet, and I was like,
yeah.
God damn it, what are you cats doing?
Okay, so we done with this one?
Yeah, pretty much. So this dude, again, charged with 13 counts, rape, assault. They don't know if he killed anybody. I would be surprised if he
There's
didn't.
a chance he could have.
Yeah, and I think I couldn't find it afterward, but I watched a couple documentaries, and I thought that one of the documentaries said that one of the victims said that he told them that he had killed someone.
Yeah, he might have just been trying to terrorize.
So I don't know if he was just trying to scare them or if he actually did. But it wouldn't surprise me if he did. But thankfully they caught him, even though it took fucking forever.
And he didn't say much about it, huh? Just it was his fetish.
Not really. Yeah, he basically just said... CB said, I think he did the satanic thing so he could get the insanity sentence and not life in prison. Yeah, I mean, I guess that didn't work out too well. He did get 30 years when he was 46. So I'm thinking,
That's still a light sentence.
I mean, still, yeah. And they let him out after 20.
Yeah, in the U.S., they'd give you fucking like... Well, just if you just take somebody somewhere against their will, is considered kidnapping. So if you take a kid out of the house, that's kidnapping.
Well, yeah.
That's a life sentence in most of our states. You just can't take... If you take anybody anywhere against their will, life. Yeah. You just can't take anybody anywhere. Which is why a lot of offenders here just kill the victim. Because the sentences are... For what they're doing, the sentences are fucking very stiff, so they just kill you. It's safer for them. Because they're like, well, if I get caught, this person can't testify against me. I'm going to get life anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Somebody's asking, I wonder what happened to Edward's mask and costume. Yeah, I wonder that too. Like, there's pictures of it, but they're from that time.
They probably just laughed that shit off and threw it away.
Yeah, I don't know if they keep it.
Entered it as evidence, probably.
Because Camp Guy said the two original clown costumes, Pogo and Patches, from John Wayne Gacy, are at the True Crime Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And they have his red wig, too. And they also have Jeffrey Dahmer's gold square rim glasses. This might sound fucked up, but I kind of want to go there and go to that. Is that bad? I don't really
care that much about him.
I mean, you know. Yeah, like, Tom gets bummed out, like, because I love true crime shit. Like, it's fucked up, and it's horrifying. But he'll get bummed out. Like, last night, we didn't have anything to watch, so I just started watching... What the fuck was the name of that show? Evil Lives Here.
Yeah.
And it was basically about, you know, family members that... Or people that lived in your house that did evil shit. And, like, you know, I never knew the motherfucker would do anything like that.
Yeah.
And I watched, like, 3 or 4 of them in a row, because that's how I roll. And then Tom's like, man, how can you, like, watch this? Like, just for hours and hours every night. He's, like, it's putting me in a bad mood. Yeah. Because, like, some of this... And I'll sit there and watch it, too, and be like, God damn it, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? And I'll get, like, all upset about it, but it's like, I still keep watching it anyway.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
And, like, some of the ones we watched last night were really bad, because it was, like, child murder and stuff. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Yeah, CB said he didn't kill. That's why he got out. I guess so. And like they said, it was good behavior. Whatever.
Doesn't matter, man.
That's
forcible rape.
Yeah, forcible rape. Multiple times against women and children.
Yeah, that deserves more than fucking 20 years. That's like 70 years. You know, it should be the sentence should be so big you can't serve it. Because you're gonna get out. They don't let that dude out. He's a fucking danger. He should never be out.
Yeah, they should just leave him in there.
Yeah, you're supposed to be in there until you die.
I mean, luckily, he didn't live long after he got out, but still. Yeah. And I don't think he did anything after he got out because he was an old man, but still. Let me see. Phantom says Vicks Dayquil cough syrup honey flavor works really good for coughs. Maybe we should get some of that. We have some. What do we have?
I don't know.
You have that orange.
It was orange stuff.
I don't remember if it was
orange
NyQuil.
Generic stuff.
I think it was generic Dollar General brand.
Yeah.
Which seemed to work okay, but...
Yeah.
I had a couple little coughing fits. I had a coughing fits during the show, but that's because I was talking so much. Yeah. CB said, Jenny, you should watch The Long Shadow about the Yorkshire Ripper case from the perspective of the victims. Ooh, I will have to watch that. We did a show about the Yorkshire Ripper a long time ago.
I forgot which one that is.
Peter Sutcliffe.
I don't remember.
Oh, he killed a lot of women. He raped them and then like hit them on the head with a brick or a hammer or something like that.
When was this?
This was, I want to say it was 70s. How many women did he kill? It was quite a lot. He's one of the UK's most famous murderers. Yeah, that dude was a motherfucker. And actually, there's a whole bunch of unsolved murders that they think he probably did too. He targeted prostitutes toward the end, but he would just kill anybody at first. But then, like after, he was just like, "Oh, I guess sex workers are easier."
You're right.
So he just started killing them. But yeah, okay, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up and get some rest this evening. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Like I said, I had never heard of this guy. I don't remember who it was that recommended him. It was quite a long time ago. But I was glad that this finally got one in the polls, because this was an interesting case. What the fuck, man? This dude's crazy. So yeah, so I guess we'll be back Friday night for the Sidetrack show, which we missed last week, which really sucked because we didn't have internet. But we're gonna do one this week, so hopefully we'll be back to 100% by then, and we won't have coughing fits in the middle of the show. So yeah, so hopefully you guys can join us for that. Thank you very much for dropping by this evening. It's always nice to see you guys, and we will talk to you guys again on Friday night. Good night.